Just believe us, we trying to teach you the rights to read you. It's just procedure, baby.
Trials, instruction, procedure. AWS gon' teach ya. Trials, instruction, procedure. AWS gon' teach ya. Here's a tip.
Welcome to Attorneys with Swag, the show you come to watch to learn about the law. I'm your host, Eugene Toussaint, and I'm here with my co-host,
David Hourly.
And we have a very special guest. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Kimberly Juszczak, and I am New York's traffic court pro.
Yep, and that's what we're here for today. Traffic court, that place we all fucking hate. We hate it a lot. I hate it. You hate it? I fucking hate it.
Yeah. I hate it so much I just say guilty. I don't got time for this shit.
We are here for traffic court. We're going to learn everything, the in and outs, what makes a good case a bad case. And Kim, take it away. Tell us how you got into this part of the law.
Okay, so I went to the CUNY School of Law. I wanted to do public interest work. And after I graduated, I ended up at a not-for-profit that was helping yellow cab drivers specifically in all manners of legal issues. So primarily traffic court, but taxi and limousine commission summonses as well, some criminal stuff. And I was doing that for about a year. And while I was there in traffic court, I was approached by a private firm. I was essentially poached from the nonprofit, and the lure of money pulled me in.
Good for you.
And it didn't last that long in the public sector. And so I was at this private firm for 7 years, and the boss was nuts, and I could no longer take it. So I walked away from a pretty big salary, and I started my own firm 3 months ago, and that's Traffic Court Pro.
Nice.
So that's how I ended up into it. You don't go to law school thinking you want to do traffic court, but when I started doing it, I just really liked the work. I appreciated that it was lower stakes than criminal court, where people were going to jail, and that it wasn't millions of dollars in litigation. So I felt like I found like a pretty good niche. So I'm like pretty happy. I like the work a lot.
There's traffic. Is there a difference between like parking ticket court and traffic court?
Yeah. So and we'll just talk about New York City, because that's mostly what I do. Though I do the whole state, so New York City, parking tickets are held in like the Department of Finance, which is an entirely separate thing. I really don't know anything about parking tickets. I do moving violation summonses, so that's anytime a police officer hands you a ticket where there are points. Sometimes they're not points, but if they hand you a summons and it's returnable to the Traffic Violations Bureau, that's where you could hire me, and that's the tickets I fight. And so anything in the 5 boroughs, if you get one of these tickets, you go to one of 8 Traffic Violations Bureaus in the city. And that is why everyone hates traffic court in New York City, because it is a interesting place to be.
Is it over when you eat? That's like what, 2 for? No,
there's fair.
1.5.
Not what we could cut out Staten Island. So
there's one in Staten Island, and the Staten Island Traffic Violations Bureau is in a strip mall across the street from a dump, which about sums the whole thing up. So
that's Staten Island in a nutshell. Shout out
and that's the Staten
to you,
Island
James.
TVB. So that's one. So the Staten Island and the Bronx just have one Traffic Violations Bureau.
The Bronx big as fuck.
And just one, and it's right near the Bronx Zoo.
Oh shit!
And
nice.
everyone knows. And then the other boroughs have 2 each.
Okay.
So that makes 8. Yeah.
Damn, what's the population of the Bronx? How the fuck we only got 1?
It's a very crowded spot, and right now,
fucked up.
and they only have right now. So there's been a big exit. So just to give like an overview.
Yeah.
So, like when you think traffic court, you think like a town court, or you think like maybe it's in a criminal court. In New York City, it's not like that. In New York City, it is an administrative agency. It's an adjudicatory body held in the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, the Department of Motor Vehicles running a court at all, you can imagine what it's like, right? So
and does each one of these buildings also do regular DMV shit?
Yeah. So I could get real balls deep into this shit, but in sum and substance, generally yes. Especially there was a merger in like 2017 between like the staff of Department of Motor Vehicles and like Traffic Violations Bureau. So in most of the places, you'll see a traffic court, and then like attached to it will be a DMV. So you'll be waiting for your hearing, and then you'll be hearing like D22.
Oh,
so
shit.
One of the ones in Manhattan is downtown, like
yeah, so
right at the end.
that right now is the only one where it's its own standalone court. The one in Manhattan South.
So no, it's interesting because you've had DV cases in the criminal world, right? Not DV, DWE cases in the criminal world, and then a person blows, and then they have a refusal hearing, and that's done in, at least in Manhattan where I practice at legal aid mostly. I've actually done a refusal hearing in that building, so that's the same where I go
place,
with those like little rooms, and then you have the administrative
yeah.
judge, and then
Right. So now the safety hearings are all remote. So
really?
they don't even have those safety judges. They come in periodically to water the plants in those offices.
What?
Yeah. So now it's just the ALJ, the administrative law judges for traffic tickets exclusively.
Because those two judges, the judges for the refusal hearings and the judges for the traffic tickets, used to be two separate type of judges.
They are separate judges.
But they were both still administrative judges.
They were ALJs, but the safety judges were like its own thing. And the twain shall not meet. And now they're working from home. So. Yeah.
In your work, do you handle DMV refusals as well?
Not as much. Once in a while, I'll do it. I personally prefer to keep the stakes low, so I really enjoy fighting moving violation summonses. That's really where my bread and butter is.
So procedurally, just to so everyone's on the same page. Obviously, if you have a car and you've got a ticket, you kind of know how this works. But you get put over, they give you a ticket, and then that ticket gives you a date in traffic court. Is the first date the same regardless of the type of ticket, or like?
No, so how it works in TVB, because I know that, so if you get a ticket out of the city, they give you like a return, and the city too, it works. You have a return date, they call it. So that's the day you have to answer. But you answer the ticket by this particular date, or you will get suspended. So that's if we're talking about just traffic infractions.
Yes.
I know in criminal court, they give you a date to go by. If you get like a criminal court summons that's of traffic in nature, they have a date, you have to come to this. But so you just answer the ticket in either setting.
Okay.
You answer the ticket, and then when you answer the ticket in New York City, they give you a trial date. And so that's the day you're supposed to appear at court. And that date could be, in TVB, I could tell when someone says, I have a court date 6 months from now, I already know it's a TVB hearing, because only TVB will you have court dates. The first time you plead not guilty, you'll get a date 6 months to a year out, just the first time, just because of how many tickets are getting written and how backlogged the court dates are.
And so, but these are do the points get applied to your license from these moving violations immediately or after a finding? So longer, it's not like a person's waiting a year and they have so many points where their license is suspended or their insurance is crazy. It's the wait.
And you get the points upon conviction, even if it's an old incident, right?
Exactly. So even in New York City, it is innocent till proven guilty. So the points aren't. If you have a hearing date pending, the points aren't reflecting on your license. If you have pending tickets, though, it could, depending on if you're applying for the MTA or other types of jobs, they don't necessarily like to see pending tickets. Immigration, I know, also doesn't really want to see pending tickets. So
really,
they don't want to necessarily see that. So
is there a way to speed up the process without pleading guilty?
Yeah, you can request. You could request your hearing date be moved up, and the court will accommodate. They love accommodating that. I could get all into the games of rescheduling tickets. I feel like we got to start from the top, but yes, they'll accommodate as best they can if you want to push your date sooner. It's a very rare request, though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I could so you get a
hearing date.
A hearing date, okay, and it's returnable to one of the 8 traffic courts, and then the points are not counting while they're pending, right? But you have them pending, and you're like, what do I do? And so how it works in TVB is there's no prosecutor. That's the big thing that makes it so different from other courts is you go there, and the prosecutor is the police officer that wrote you the ticket, and so they're both the prosecutor and the witness.
Judge Dredd style.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
I am the judge.
They're the prosecuting witness. So how they testify, and there's based on the violation, they have to meet their case by clear and convincing evidence. So
That's
you guys know the standard is clear and convincing. So you know.
Can you explain? Just refresh my recollection.
Sure. So, in criminal court, the burden of proof the state has to meet is beyond a reasonable doubt for a conviction to uphold. In civil court, for a finding to be, I guess, for the plaintiff to be, or the defendant to be held liable for whatever they're being accused of, I guess. I don't even know if those are the right words, but it's preponderance of evidence. So then the clear and convincing is the middle ground. So it's, in layman's terms, like 75% likely that the motorist, and they don't use the word defendant, it's motorist, because it's an administrative body and not a criminal court. It's the motorist committed the violation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So clear and convincing evidence is higher than civil court.
Yes. So technically, in Traffic Violations Bureau, the burden of proof is higher than in a civil court.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Tell the fucking judge that when I got my fucking conviction.
How I guess how does that make litigating these issues?
So litigating is an interesting word for it. So so because it's in an administrative agency, there's the rules of evidence, there are none, basically. So there's no discovery, there's no real substantial motion practice. Everything is very contemporaneous, and all motions are oral. And the officer convicts someone with his testimony. And so the testimony, the clear and convincing evidence is, the threshold for it is he establishes the case by prima facie. He makes a prima facie case out. So what that is every violation essentially has a list of elements of the case that he has to basically say occurred or describes before it meets that clear and convincing threshold. So, like, for instance, an improper turn ticket, the officer has to describe what the lanes look like, how they're separated, that the motorist, what the correct turning lane is, that the correct turning lane was available to him, and that the motorist could have gotten into that lane and he turned from a lane not in the turning lane, and he has to say what lane it is, right? And so he says all of that, and if he meets that threshold, then it's the motorist's turn to essentially defend himself.
So there's no you don't get to cross.
So yes, you could cross it. You cross-examine them. But so I'm saying if you're an unrepresented person. So an unrepresented person, he establishes that threshold in theory. If he hasn't meet that threshold in theory, the ALJ is supposed to dismiss the ticket.
Right there and then.
Right there. If he hasn't met it, the ALJ should say, okay, you haven't met the clear and convincing is not established, and you should toss it.
And do they get a chance to go, oh shit, I missed this element?
No, they're not supposed. No,
it's one
they're
shot.
really not supposed. It's one shot.
How often do judges do the ALJ? ALJ?
ALJ.
The ALJ, the administrative judge, yeah.
Yeah, how often do the administrative judges actually dismiss it in that manner?
It really depends on the judge. Like, so that's like I could go into it, but so like that's what's supposed to happen, okay? And then if he meets that threshold, the motorist is then entitled to cross-examine them, present evidence, present witnesses, ask the officers questions, and then explain his side. And then immediately at the end of the hearing, the judge makes their determination. So guilty or not guilty, right on there, and they really don't even have to explain it. They just basically say, neither party having any further evidence, the record is closed. Based on the evidence the evidence presented, I find the motorist, the charge has or has not been established by clear and convincing evidence, and that's the end. And so they get their adjudication right there, and they walk out generally pissed off if you're an unrepresented person. So that's how the whole process works.
I'm sorry, do you get to appeal? Does that motorist, is there a process to appeal these decisions, or I don't know what the higher court would be?
Yes, so, higher court. Okay. So there is an appeals process.
Small claims.
It is, but because it's an administrative agency, they're entitled to review their own findings. And so the appeals board is basically shrouded in mystery. So
Really?
We really don't know who's reviewing it. They do give names at the end. So it's a panel of 3 judges. I know that from lore, in the 80s, they were law students doing it. I don't think they're law students now, but it is quite faceless, nameless. You are entitled to an appeal. You could file it within 30 days. They review it. and then they make their determination based on the record as it stands.
So there's no, like, you can't frame your arguments, write anything.
Right, you couldn't produce new evidence.
No new evidence. And the big thing is that they're not going to reverse anything based on a determination of fact. It's only going to be on an error of the law. And where it becomes a problem for unrepresented people is they don't really know the difference between a mistaken law and a mistaken fact. So when they come to me, I want to appeal this, the officer lied. It's like, well,
that's fact.
It's a question of fact, and they're not regardless of whether they lied or not, they're not going to overturn anything based on fact. And the other problem for an unrepresented person is they're not going to review errors of law unless you've preserved it. So you have had to have pointed it out on the record.
So, like, objection, or how does that work?
So if I were doing it, I would make a motion. I'd say, Judge, I'm going to ask for a finding of not guilty. Before anything else, I'm going to ask for a finding of not guilty. The officer, for a very simple one, the officer did not testify to the time of the violation. And if the judge still convicts, that's a question of law.
And that's after the police officer's testimony is given, right?
Yeah.
That's after your cross-examination, if you do any, and then, like, I guess in a trial we have an opportunity to put a motion to dismiss in, which we always do after the hearings or after whatever stage.
It's a trial order dismissal.
Trial order dismissal.
Right. I mean, so after an officer finishes his testimony, and I'm seeing a prima facie mistake, before I say anything else, I make the motion.
Okay.
And that's it. If you point out a prima facie mistake and the judge says no, they've met prima facie, that probably will be a fundamental mistake in the
right. So that's an
application of the law.
appealable issue, and so then I write my appeal. Okay, I'm requesting a reversal. This is a prima facie element that was missing, et cetera, and then the appeals board reviews that. That's it's also still pretty much a crapshoot, but the odds are higher when an attorney does it and they're preserving it in that way, as opposed to like a question of fact, because you're not allowed to introduce evidence and you're not allowed to. They are not going to overturn anything based on a question of fact. So
now, have you ever? So, like, for example, like body cam footage, right?
I can talk about that.
A cop is supposed to turn it on the moment they establish reasonable suspicion of power. I'm not sure what is the exact.
As soon as when they interact.
Yeah, it's
as soon as when there's the beginning of an interaction, they have to click it on. Or if they're responding to a call, they have to click it on when they're heading to the call.
Right, but for traffic infractions, they're not responding to a call.
Right.
So the body cam footage is not necessarily on observing the infraction. It's just on at the
when
interaction.
When they make the interaction.
So
now there's no, I guess,
interesting.
There's no equivalent version of dash cam.
So you could. So yes, they have their dash cam. You could Freedom of Information law the dash cam.
And what you'd have to do that before the hearing day?
Before the hearing.
Do you have to do that for the body camera footage as well?
You would have to do the same thing. If you
Okay, even though the police officer is going to testify and that there's no evidence rule, so they don't have to give you anything unless you subpoena it.
Right, and and the thing is, I don't necessarily want that footage in there. I actually really enjoy it. I prefer it being on the officer's testimony.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as you introduce, especially if I can't review it ahead of time. So there have been cases where now with the digital technology, they can pull up their body cam. It's usually not dispositive of anything because they only are required to turn it on at the interaction, not at observing the violation. Especially if they're sitting, even if they have it on and they're sitting in their car, they're not going to necessarily see a guy running a red light, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to pick up anything. Or their dash cam necessarily, just based on how they're parked. But I don't really want it in there. I don't think it's usually not dispositive of anything. And if it's happening at the hearing, they're just pulling it up and I'm looking at it. What if it's not good facts, right? Like, so I don't want that in there. I prefer it to just be on their testimony because there's way more room for there to be, for it to not rise to clear and convincing once I start cross-examining them if I don't have photographic or video evidence.
Because there is no hearsay rule, so they can, and this is one of the infamous police questions whenever they pull you over for any type of traffic spot. Do you know why I pulled you over?
Yeah.
And then that is a question that leads in a lot of times to an incriminating response from a motorist.
Right. So if the officer doesn't meet the prima facie threshold, they really are not supposed, and a good judge will not consider the motorist incriminating statement. They will just dismiss it. Yeah,
Really?
100%. So it's very much like a checklist of elements, and that's how the whole game, like that's how they convict someone. So an incriminating statement, if they haven't met, like, so if an officer doesn't know how to testify, and we can get into how they testify, but if they just will say, like, blow the case entirely, they don't say where the lights are located, they don't say where a stop line is, before, even if the motorist says to the officer, I know I blew that red light, and fuck you. If those prima facie elements are not there, I make the motion and the ticket will get dismissed.
So, like,
assuming I have a reasonable judge.
So when it comes to the quality of the cops, like their representation, are certain cops more prepared to be traffic cops than other cops?
Yes. Yeah.
So like, what is the differentiate?
So, so there's like a couple of. So there are cops that are that their whole job for 8 hours a day or whatever their shift is, they just stand on a corner and they write moving violation summonses. That's their whole gig.
Like the traffic cops or NYPD?
It's NYPD. So
Really?
the traffic, like the meter
Meter
people,
maids,
they really don't. I don't. Yeah, but like, so they really don't write.
I have no respect for law enforcement, sorry.
No, that's fair.
I don't respect you.
No, there's a pay difference, so I feel they like the traffic enforcement officers get kind of fucked. So I feel a little bad about that. But so
fuck those motherfuckers.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Fuck
Shit.
you.
You work for Satan and you get what you get.
like, I'll just, all right. Well,
Sorry.
Sorry.
Very
I mean,
biased.
it's fair, but so like the guys writing tickets are the same thing as like the guys writing like parking tickets are the same guys who are like pulling people out of their car. You know what I mean?
So if you're in one of those traffic,
if you're like a precinct will have a unit that just writes moving violation summonses, and that's all they do.
but they're NYPD.
They're NYPD.
NYPD,
NYPD.
yeah.
They're not traffic court.
They're gun
They're not
toting
traffic
NYPD.
police. Or what?
They're NYPD, but they write moving violations, and they want that gig because it's pretty easy work. You're out of the line of fire for the most part, and there's good overtime, so it's a desirable position to be writing moving violations.
Interesting.
So so those guys have they really learn how to testify. They also have a real incentive to testify because if they lose too often in traffic court, and it shouldn't be counted as an officer losing, but that's how they count it. If they lose too often, they get quite penalized. So they lose vacation time.
Really?
They'll have to go back to training, or they'll get taken out of the unit. So I've said, like, the NYPD are penalized more for missing or losing in traffic court more than they are for missing criminal court or anything like that.
And is this codified somewhere, or is this just
No, it's
policy?
just
Well, it's a
policy.
business making, like this is how the
I can get into
city
the
gets
history of it,
revenue.
actually.
and
Like,
what is
there's like lots of history behind why it used to not be like that. So in like 2010, this was before I started doing this, there was basically a ticket fixing scandal. So that came out, and
What was the scandal?
the exact details I don't know. I think like there was some politician or something that like was able to like call ahead, and the cops were like dropping tickets. Like, I don't have notes, Judge. No recall, basically. And that will get a ticket dismissed if they just, I don't have notes for this one. So that came out. There was like a New York Post article, and after that, they started actually like calculating how often police officers were winning or losing. They were really like watching them. They were watching who was missing court. It used to be like, I mean, like again,
It used to be like criminal court, whatever.
yeah, what do I give a shit? Like, they're regular people. Like, what do I give a shit about the traffic? Yeah, so around then, from my elders, they used to say, like, if you were an attorney, you really never lost, because the cops, they
didn't care.
They didn't care, and there was no motivation for them to really. There was a couple of cowboys, but like for the most part, what did they care? But once they started getting penalized, this is where like we get into like the kangaroo court territory. Once that started happening, what they started to do, I talked about like the checklist of prima facie elements of a case. What they started to do was pre-write their testimonies, and so they come in with, when I tell you like fresh Word document testimonies that they just read.
And they're just reading off the
and
script?
they just read it.
That's okay?
That's yes. So that is it is common accepted practice that's how they do it.
How do you win in these situations? I mean, it seems like the NYPD can either have somebody writing these things up and then following a script.
Yeah.
And then and if the burden is just lay the elements out properly.
So this is why if you care,
get paid the big bucks.
This is why this is
why we hire you.
This is why you want a lawyer, because they'll read it out. The judge knows what's happening.
Yeah.
But if you're not properly questioning them about it, they don't care. Right? So and some judges don't care whether you properly question them or not, but I know which judges care and are not fans of this. So if I properly ask them the right questions, and okay, you have this pre-written script, where's your summons? Where's the contemporaneous notes? You don't remember this. This is 2 years ago. All this. So you get into the refreshed recollection and that sort of stuff. And if you're in front of a judge who cares, and there are judges that care, you wouldn't necessarily think so, the way people walk out so angry. But if you're in front of a judge that you'll get your ticket dismissed that way. And that's this is it's funny because you're this hellhole. It's but I've been doing this for 9 years now, so I know what judges care about that, what don't, who don't care about scripts but really don't like when officers write bogus cell phone tickets. So you really learn the ins and outs of everyone because it's so small. You really learn the different personalities of everyone. You know all the players. You know which officers are good at one testimony, or not at another. You know, because they pass the scripts around in precincts, you could hear. I hear the same. I could tell. So I know. So I look at a substitute ticket. I'll get it. So you give a ticket number. You ask the clerk for a print. I look at the substitute ticket, and I get a bunch of information from looking at the substitute ticket. One of them is the precinct, and I know which precincts have passed around scripts. And I when I tell you they are identical, to the point where one precinct has the same exact script where they have pavement markings, right? They have abbreviation, they say pave marks. And they just read the script so verbatim, they just say pave marks.
It's just like there are bigger brothers in law enforcement in the DA's office. All they do is sit there and read from a piece of paper. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, so
I'm just pissing everybody off.
So I'm saying pave marks, and I take their script away, and I'm what did you just read?
You can do that.
Oh yeah. So I say so you remember this. May I have your notes, officer? And I take it. What lane was the motorist in?
Ooh.
And because they don't have any idea what they read.
That's good.
And they didn't write.
So
they didn't write
good.
the answers. So, but a judge allows that, or
that's expected. 100%. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Because I could take. You remember this? May I have your summons, officer? Okay, and then I'll start asking them.
It's the reverse of a record in flesh.
Well, we are so. It's look, the rules of evidence are lax, but if you're going to say something outrageous that you remember this one stop out of 10 that you had that day from 2 years ago, well, now I'm going to quiz you.
Yeah.
And if you're in front of the right judge, that is very persuasive to them. They don't want to be bullshitted either.
Are these testimonies under oath?
Yeah, they are under oath, but
who gets prosecuted?
Exactly. Yes.
Whatever rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah.
So that's interesting though, right? Because we're getting closer and closer to this AI cameras everywhere world, and that shit swings both ways. Because in theory, imagine, I'm not to say that you would be doing this, but imagine I'm the overzealous fucking traffic attorney that wants to actually get the footage of this traffic ticket. If I could somehow figure it away, and now I know.
Well, you could do it if you want to get footage. You could do it. It's pretty available. You could foil you could foil if there's cameras up here. I just don't want it.
Yeah.
So even a lot of my clients are Uber drivers. They have dash cams.
Yeah.
And they give me the dash cam. I didn't do this. I swear I didn't do this. I didn't do this. And I look at the dash cam. And
you don't have to turn that over.
No.
You don't have the same.
I keep hold of it. That's why I want to review everything ahead of time because everything's so on the fly and contemporary. I don't want anything that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
In the hearing. So, but if they have the footage, I'll look at the footage. But then I see the footage. there's no pedestrians, and then I see the pedestrian coming in the corner exactly as the. So it's just like I don't want that in. And like I could use if I have it ahead of time, I could use it. I could listen to the officer's testimony, decide whether I want to use it or not.
Right.
But foiling it is a process. Fighting with the NYPD to get the stuff is a process. And most of the time, it's not really dispositive of anything, especially the body cam footage. So,
Now, I guess the question that we're both kind of wondering is there a consequence for an officer truly getting up there and just putting wild perjury?
The consequence is if they're in front of a judge that really, really doesn't like that judge will make sure that officer never wins.
So in the DA's office, in some of them in Manhattan, I talk with the one I have the most experience with, they have a list of bad cops that they float around where like these cops have been proven liars. And so if a case has one of these cops attached to it, then they'll offer better offers or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if like inside of is there a list, are there known perpetrators of just fraudulent, just flagrant,
yes.
You're going to really come here, sit down and say that?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. We know who are.
Let's say some names.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, come on.
I got to be nice. Like, yes, there are officers that.
You get paid big bucks for a reason.
I ain't big
She
bucks.
knows the list.
I know the list.
I've got it. That's why you hire me.
No, yes, and people know who writes full of shit tickets, and then there are the guys that are writing honest tickets, and they come in with an inherent level of credibility. Would I say it's two tiered? It's because motorists a lot of times don't know what just happened, or they inadvertently admit to something. Even if it's like a cusp, it's a lot easier for a judge to convict someone if it's a cusp, even if the cop's like kind of full of shit and they know it. It's easier for everyone if this one guy is just sent out, because there really isn't ramification for the officer in that case. Mm-hmm. But the attorney coming in here and like his memo books, everything he's saying is nonsense. He has absolutely no notes, and you catch him in these lies if he has like some other sort of dirt on it's less like there are like actual ramifications. It's more like a lawyer to lawyer thing when you're dealing with the judge. And like some judges don't care, and like the lawyer is the enemy, but it's like a professional sort of like respect for like, I am not gonna disrespect you by convicting your client when this is so full of shit. Like that's
It's interesting.
It is a very the game traffic court is very much like in New York City. It is very much we're all
on the same team
kind of thing.
That's the small world of lawyers.
Yeah, because I would say there's 20 attorneys who do this full time, and that's all they do in the whole city. So it's a very, very small, and like the ALJs, they know you, like they know your face. You see the same people every day for years, and like you get to be friendly with them, and so like their quirks, and they don't want to disrespect you, you don't want to disrespect them, and like it's like a small world kind of thing. So
you mentioned something about a lot of cross-examining of the police officers can rely on what they had written contemporaneously. I don't know why I was struggling with that word. And or their memo books. Do you have that ahead of time?
No.
So
everything's on the fly.
And then how much time do you get to look at their memo book to see
immediately after they testify?
Okay, and then so it's very like
everything.
It's very
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. So I am I will say this. I am very good at very quickly and like what and they're testifying and I'm taking notes and I'm like thinking about 100 and like you hear the same script or you hear the same corners you hear and like when you just get so used to seeing like this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, so as soon as you hear it, you're like, how were you able to see this on this corner? Like, this actually doesn't make sense. How can you see? So, but you get so used to hearing it, but everything is 100% on the fly. So
are you getting like Google like views of the actual environment? Is that factoring in a lot into your
no,
defense?
so here's the funny thing about the Google stuff. So I'll bring that in if it's like a real well-known intersection or like there's a real question. But the thing is, the tickets, because of the volume in TVB, could be 2 years old. And
Things change.
So things change.
Especially in New York City.
So they really don't want to see something, a Google image, unless it's from that day.
Like pictures taken that day.
Yeah,
or the
so
next day.
that they don't really want a Google image search unless I could show that it's within like a couple days of each other. And even still, a skeptical judge will be like, well, I don't know if it changed. So I don't bring in Google image search that often.
Are there, and I guess this is for the viewers, are there hot spots that you see?
Oh, 100%.
What are they?
So it's funny. It changes.
Not for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big
Canal.
Manhattan hotspot. It never, ever changes. A speeding hotspot is the First Avenue tunnel near the UN.
Oh yeah, holy shit! I
Yeah,
speak to that shit all the
It never
time.
fucking changes. It is always, there is always a
the tunnel, like the
Yeah, you know, like because there are two under and then the overs.
Yeah, so that it's a 20. It's unposted. Well, it kind of
Everything in the city
it is unposted.
25.
It's 25 miles an hour, but that tunnel, when it's empty, it beckons. A cousin of mine got a ticket there. So
Where did they wait at the end?
they wait
or-
at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, and they hit you with
The LiDAR unit. Yeah, so they pop you before you see them. They see you, and they estimate you before they pull the gun. They make an estimation of your speed. Then they pop you with the gun, and before you even know what the fuck happened, they have you pulled over at the exit of the tunnel.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
So that's a big, huge speeding hotspot.
So they're doing all those elements in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Right at the end.
Before, and during, and after.
Yep,
To
there.
make sure they don't
Yep. So, and what's that tunnel in particular is such a hot spot that there's a couple of precincts that enforce moving violations. So there's the Citywide Traffic Task Force. They write all over Manhattan, and then there's the 17th precinct, and they cover the UN. And basically anyone getting any overtime, they're parking at that tunnel there, and they're just picking up speeds there.
Wow.
So big, huge spot. In Manhattan, just like 42nd and 2nd, there's some no turn signs there.
Yeah.
There's a 57th and Vanderbilt. There's a stop sign. So there's like a bunch of stuff. But that, if I had to say what the biggest one in Manhattan is, it's that fucking tunnel.
So, as somebody who grew up on 14th Street and then they shut down 14th
Yeah.
Street to
Bus lanes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we seeing? Because I constantly
I thought I was going to see a lot more. I'm not. And I wonder if it's the cameras.
Well, I mean, my parents still live over there, and right. I mean, I was pissed off when they did that because then it just diverts traffic to 15th and
I could
13th.
start ranting.
But I constantly
on a personal level.
Yeah. Don't get me started. I constantly see cars driving up and down it, but I've never seen police pull. And there's tons of cops on that street.
I thought when that happened that there was going to be a lot.
They were
going
to catch so many people.
But the enforcement's not there on 14th. Where I saw a lot of enforcement actually was on Fifth Avenue. A lot of bus lane enforcement over there, and I'm just seeing
in that area, Fifth Avenue.
Fifth Avenue between Fifth Avenue probably between 42nd up to 60th Street.
Okay.
And then, also in northern, but that's probably where I see the biggest enforcement of bus lanes. And the thing is there are all these initiatives that the NYPD goes through. So there'll be a 3, 4, 5, 6 month initiative. We're going to get bus lane summonses. So they'll write those, and they'll write a ton of those, and then it'll stop.
Yeah.
Or
until that happens again.
During Vision Zero.
Right.
That was
shit.
As a traffic attorney, those were the gravy years, Vision Zero.
De Blasio.
There was a lot of failure to yields.
That's a hard ticket to give in New York City.
Yes. I could talk about failure to yields, but a lot of spillback tickets during that period too. So there was a lot of...
What's a spillback ticket?
So a spillback ticket, that's a blocking the box. So that's obstructing an intersection. So if you enter an intersection when you know you can't clear it on the other side.
Traffic.
Bro,
traffic.
Going into the
traffic.
The Midtown Tunnel going west. Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And you know, there's
But that's a turn, right? You have to turn to get on that?
Yeah, but before getting on that, there's like a series of fucking blocks that suck. If
Yeah.
you're coming not
Yes.
from, if you're coming from like Midtown and
Yeah.
you're going west, or even if you're on the west side and you're going south, there's just like nothing but like fucking like just like Houston going west.
Oh, you're talking about the Holland Tunnel.
Yes, the Holland
Because
Tunnel.
the Lincoln
yeah.
Tunnel's in
Yeah,
Midtown.
yeah,
The Holland
yeah.
Tunnel's
Okay,
downtown.
okay.
No, Holland Tunnel. It's the Holland Tunnel.
Okay.
Like if you're going from Houston to the Holland Tunnel,
Oh, yeah, it's
Especially,
yeah.
like,
if you're driving down
during rush
7th
hour,
Avenue on that.
it's
yeah.
just like, so you get a lot of like fucking the box shit.
Yeah.
I'm like driving and like a person they didn't pull me over. They just walk up to me. Ticket, motherfucker.
They
No,
ticketed you while you were driving?
They just sit there giving people tickets. Like they just sit there, like they're just sitting there.
You gotta run on them.
Bro, like they're not even pulling you over. They're like box to box, bang, bang. Yo, some guy was spazzing. He's like, how the fuck are you gonna? Like, you see where I'm at? Like, how the fuck am I supposed to know when to go and not
Even
go?
going over the Williamsburg Bridge or any
business.
like the Brooklyn Bridge, like anything in Lower Manhattan is like an absolute shit show. Yes, I know, and like so they go through, but that was probably not recently, right? Like that was probably pre-COVID, because like they really do go through
it's
waves.
pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
They go through waves of
Yeah, so
enforcement. Like
Shit was
that's
fucking nuts.
yeah.
I wanted
So
to kill
like
somebody.
there was when I tell you when I was working at this firm, like after like Vision Zero, again the gravy years, like I would have my day. I would have.
Who died? Who special person died that caused that?
No, it was
bullshit?
a
De Blasio.
Swedish initiative. So it was originally like a Swedish thing, and De Blasio came in and was just like, "We're going to do it like Sweden does."
Ah, fuck them.
So
gonna be like Amsterdam
but I would
with bikes
see
and shit.
my whole morning docket in 2019 would just be spillback tickets. So I got real good at fighting spillback tickets and bus lane tickets.
So we're talking. So just out of curiosity, how does one fight a spillback ticket?
So funny thing, I love a spillback ticket because
Okay.
actually they're really, really hard for an officer to put in.
Interesting.
Very hard. So like the prima facie elements of a case, like the way that they come about. Hold on.
Do you need a water break or something?
Oh no, it's just
To make
I'm actually recovering from COVID, but you know, no, I'm good.
I don't care. I don't think I've ever gotten it. I don't
Yeah.
believe in it.
Oh, this is my third. This
Me
is my
neither.
third go. Third go. So,
Damn.
yeah, I
Sorry.
know. So a spillback ticket is really hard to put in because the way that the statute's written, there's like a lot. So a prima facie element of a case comes from like the statute, case law that no one really knows what it is, and like oral tradition. So it's like part of like the training materials for an administrative law judge. So what makes it good, like what makes it nice about that it's not like really set in stone, is like you could kind of convince a judge from the statute that actually this is an element. So from like spillback, like it's all about, it's a lane specific violation. So the statute says in the motorist's lane, prior to entering the intersection, they were not able to clear the other side of the intersection, right? So, but the way that I could talk to a judge is convince them, well, an intersection is defined by crosswalks. So for the officer to establish this, they have to establish where all the crosswalks are. So north, south, east, west. And if it's prior to the crosswalk, I need to hear where the motorist was observed prior to the crosswalk. I need to hear a distance before they entered and crossed the crosswalk. So like there's all sorts of ways you can convince a judge that this is actually part of it. And the light has to be green. So depending on the judge, if the light has to be, so they have to have the right of way to enter. Depending on the judge, well, if the light is green, I need to hear where the lights are, judge. So I need to hear northwest, southwest corner. So there's all sorts of ways, and like I need to hear how the lanes are like lane. So it's the lanes are separate. It's lane specific. I need to hear how the lanes are separated. Okay, but if it's lane specific, then I need to hear east to west, west to east. He's in lane number 2. How do I know what lane number 2 is if he didn't say west to east or east to west? So like there's a lot of elements in that violation that have to be established, and it's like kind of amorphous that I love fighting spillback tickets.
Wow,
It's like one of my
okay.
favorite violations. So like, but that's like the wonky part. That's why I wish they were writing more of them, because they're like, so that's like kind of the fun of traffic court too, is like because there's the case law is kind of just like up in the air. You could talk to the judge in a way that it's just like, well, like
And you kind of, it seems like you kind of know
Yeah.
the fight you're about to get into
Yeah.
because you know the officers, you know the judges.
Exactly. That's like,
Okay.
so that's like the game. Like it's playing the game. So like I have said, you don't want Alan Dershowitz fighting your traffic ticket, right?
Unless you've been accused.
You really don't, because like look, you'll see, because
I heard he got Epstein off of a couple of traffic tickets.
oh, did you now?
Yeah, it's just
Because he died? Because he killed himself, right?
yeah, he killed himself. Oh, sorry.
Totally killed himself. Because it's such a small community, I know all the players in the game, right? Like I know all the lawyers, I know everyone who does this. So we'll see someone who comes in, like we actually call them outside counsel, even though there's no, even though we're not public defenders.
Look at this fucking guy.
We call them.
But your command and understanding of everything is just like any public defender in any courtroom that they're in. Like you bring me into Manhattan where I did most of my practice, and the same thing. I know the judges.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I like you just get that. So yeah.
So outside counsel, like, and a lot, like it depends. A lot of the time, someone who comes in is like, someone's niece got a traffic ticket. I'll fight your traffic ticket for you. And they think like, I do complex commercial litigation. I should be able to handle this. And they just don't. They have no idea what the fuck they're getting into.
Yeah.
So they throw everything at the wall. They don't know who the judge is. The judge is pissed off at him for not knowing who he is and not knowing what. So, and he also is just like, fuck this guy. And it'll be like a case. They'll like look at me. The guy will be here and the judge will make eye contact with me in the room, like, guilty. So yeah, exactly. So you really, if you want to hire a traffic, you want an attorney who like, this is what they do.
Yeah,
and, like,
100%.
So that's
I've had people who've gotten arrested upstate, and I'm like, bro, you don't want me fucking bringing my New York swag into that fucking courtroom.
Well,
I'm learning
you
that
want
the
a
hard way.
local.
So it's funny. It's funny. So I started my firm, and so I have expanded to the state, and I am happy to travel. And what has been actually really pleasant is because TVB is such a thunderdome. Like everyone, like the judges less so, but like the staff, the security guards, everyone's really suspicious of you as an attorney in TVB. Like, what the hell do you want? The clerks won't cooperate with you. They won't let you into the room because you're probably doing something slick in there. And like, but when I go to another court, like when I go to a real court, a traditional court, I am like blown away by how like, counselor, oh, you don't have to stay in line. Come through. Like today I was in Yonkers. And like all of the court officers, I was sitting in the benches, just like waiting. I checked in. They knew I was an attorney. I was in a suit. And they were like, counselor, you don't have to sit there. Go into the box. And I just like sat, I sat in so I was actually like shocked. It's like, what? Everyone's so nice here. So like being in TVB actually like really prepares you for like other traffic courts. Cause you're ready to go in being treated like shit. And then everyone's so nice. So, so it's I think it's not like a New York swag. I would actually say it's like the opposite when you're coming from like TVB to like the rest of the state, because you're ready to be treated like shit. And then they're nice to you for the most part. Like that's been my experience now, like having expanded out into other courts. So it's been pretty, like being treated like I'm not like the enemy. How nice.
I could imagine. In my scenario, it was criminal, and I can imagine me not knowing the 2 DAs in this county probably doesn't help.
That's my job. That's my job every day
funny,
now.
like so I was in Fishkill. I know you were just in Ulster, and I was up there, and I had a client, and he has a billion speeds, like
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, and I went up there specifically because I needed to just like talk to this guy. Like I drove 2.5 hours. Like I will ride for my clients. You know what I mean? Like I will.
Yeah.
I give a shit. And so I drove up there, and
spent the whole way.
And then the DA, I was just like, it was a third speed. So if you get 3 speeds, they revoke your license. It was his third speed, and they offered a reduction.
I'm sorry, and a 3 speeding ticket.
In 18 months.
In 18 months, and do they have to be a certain amount of over, or just
no,
like
just
any
speed
like
in 18 months?
5
And we can talk
miles
about the 18
over?
months thing, but any 5 miles over any speed in 18 months. So I was like, I got to talk to this guy. Okay. So I go up there and I just was like, he's going to get revoked. I drove 2.5 hours. Like, are you really going to do this? Like, is that really what you're going to do? And he just like looked at me. And so the face-to-face interaction, like that. And I'm so used to being like dogged and like aggressive, like just obviously knowing the DA is great, but like a fresh face being like, please help me. Like,
I agree.
Help me, I'm pathetic. Like,
I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know, sir. Like that also works too, you know. And like so, like I will when I tell you I will use every trick in the damn book for my guys. Like, I like.
As you should.
It's like I give a shit. Like I've been in the. I'll say like I'm a younger person in this game. Like, because a lot of people have been doing this for a long time. The firm I was at, she was looking to. I ultimately left because we couldn't come to a partnership agreement. It was like a whole thing, and like a lot of people, and someone then wanted me to buy their firm. It was a whole thing. So like, it's a lot of older players. So like, I'm a younger person coming into this. That's why I've got like the social media stuff. They don't understand it at all. So like, it's just like let's just like see how I can like play this. But like when they're like 30 years in, they're burnt out. I am not burnt out. I'm like ready to fucking go. I will do anything I can to get you. You know what I mean? Like
good shit.
I don't care. I will make an ass out of myself. It doesn't matter. I can like wait as long as I get what my result. You know, like
So I really do feel like I'm understanding traffic court a lot more.
Okay, yeah.
Which is a good thing about it's like I enjoy this show just as much as my audience because it's like
it's a learning experience.
It's a learning experience. So like the prima facie case per charge, is that something you can find online or is that something you have to learn through practice?
It's really like I said, it's based on the statute, some case law, but mostly oral tradition. So it's really just from practice.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I learned it really from, because I was working at the nonprofit, not for profit. It was a trade association. So I was working there and they really were, they knew it, but they didn't. I really learned how to do it with the old firm. And so that's really where I learned the prima facie elements of the case. And so that is really just from knowledge. And like the thing is, prima facie will change based on the court. So like in, just to give Manhattan as an example. So a failure to yield. You get a failure to yield ticket. In Manhattan South, the judges all expect to hear when an officer's testifying, green light, et cetera, he came within 5 feet of a pedestrian, causing the pedestrian to stop. And that's Manhattan South. And all of the judges expect the officer to testify to that. Then if you go uptown to Harlem, and Harlem's a good court with serious, good judges, but they just don't expect them to say that. So when I would go to Harlem and the officers are saying, enter on a green light, turn in front of pedestrians, but there's no proximity, I would say, he didn't say proximity, and the judge is like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, they have no idea. So it's really like, these weird quirks are very court specific, which you just really learn from being in these courts. So like you'll have that, like, so this is a Manhattan South thing, this is a Harlem thing. In Harlem, they care way more. How could you possibly say you remember this ticket from 2 years ago, you asshole? So that's in Harlem. Or,
less trusting.
Yeah, like, or like in Coney Island, like on the summons, they expect, so on a place of occurrence on a summons, in Manhattan South, you could just say the intersection, so 8th and 32nd. In Coney Island, the officer had better written down what direction they were going, or they'll chuck the ticket immediately. So you just have to look at the ticket and they'll throw it out. So like there's all sorts of different things you learn from doing this like at different courts.
So
you
gotta know all of these different approaches to poking holes in the case, and then also know which ones to use at which locations.
Exactly.
And in front of which judges.
Exactly. So it's like a lot. That's just.
It's like fucking chess.
It is chess. It's a game. We call it playing the game. That's what it is.
It's all a game. It's so different from like the criminal world.
Real court.
It's still real.
It is real. Like, that's like
it's just different.
So like when you talk about like what's a kangaroo court, right? Like So a motorist comes in unrepresented, and they're mad that the judge didn't believe them, and it's a kangaroo court. Or someone who doesn't practice here in traffic court is mad that like what would work in criminal court didn't work here, or civil court didn't work here. But like I wouldn't go into housing court and try to play the game in housing court without knowing the rules of housing court. I think like just because it's traffic court, people think it's more accessible. Like it is the everyman's court, so they think like I should be able to do this. How come it's not work? But it's it's.
The funny thing I'm getting from everything we're talking about is that even though traffic court has a reputation for being kangaroo court, it kind of seems slightly more elegant and more complex than that, and it's really because people don't understand.
People don't know the dance.
Yeah, people don't know how to dance.
No, I mean it makes sense why someone would assume like it's traffic court, it's not that big of a deal. Like I should be able to just handle this, whether you're an unrepresented person or you're another attorney that doesn't do this all the time. Like it's so simple. Like it's low level. I should just be able to do it. But no, it's
fuck those people. Like,
it's a law. It's a field of practice like anything else, and yeah, there is an art to it, especially in New York City when you're dealing with like there are no plea negotiations, right? So you're always doing trials. Like I literally.
Oh really? In New York City, they do not. I guess whoever.
There's no pleading. Yeah,
I know I've heard that before, but why is that? And how does that change the dynamic?
I mean, so
everything gets litigated.
Yeah, everything is because there's no prosecutor, there's no one you can negotiate with, and it's just not a negotiating framework. If you want no points, you want no fine, you have to win.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Oh, that should be at the
sucks.
top of this. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. What? Because my first experience in traffic court was last week, and it was in Suffolk County.
And you're coming in at a good time in Suffolk County. Like, I can tell you, you're coming in at a good time. So yeah, I mean, so Suffolk County is up until probably the last like year or two, there was some elections that changed all of the staffing at Suffolk County.
Yeah.
But up until, oh my God, it was so bad as far as negotiating. Like it was basically plea to the charge if there was any record at all. So there was no real.
Yeah, Suffolk County is not a place to get a DWI.
Now there is. Now they're giving the farm away.
I walked in there not knowing anything, and I did what you do, which is like, this is my first time. Can I? And it was treated nice.
That's Suffolk now.
And immediately, like the DA just looked at me, and goes, "Oh, I'll throw these two away and just offer a parking ticket,
$150." That is a very new, very new. Because a year and a half ago, oh my God.
This is a new DA.
It's not just a new DA, it's
just
a new like county
change.
Board because it's not a. It is Suffolk County.
Game of Thrones shit. What happened?
Yeah, so it's a Suffolk County. It's a court, but it's not quite a TVB. It's the Suffolk County Traffic and Parking Violations Bureau.
Right, it's its own building,
so
separate
it's its own
from
thing.
the.
I can actually see it from my mother-in-law's house. I can see. So,
Yikes.
So it's its own thing. But so there are prosecutors there, but up until very, very recently, that court was hell on earth. Really? Oh my God, I would dread getting Suffolk County tickets, because if you had a cell phone on your record before this, if you had anything like a cell phone or a speed on your record in the last 10 years,
you mean the DMV abstract, right?
Yes, the abstract.
Okay, right.
Okay, so your driving history.
Right.
If you had anything on your record in the last 10 years, it's pleaded the charge and fuck you. And they will, if you say no, okay, yeah, but we'll suspend you until the trial.
What?
That was what they used to do.
But there's no finding. I thought you said that there was no points.
In traffic violation, so yes, but in that setting, they were able to, up until this most recent election, yeah, we'll do that, but we'll suspend you until your trial if you decide to reject their offer.
How is that not like?
Yes, I know. It's not.
What?
There was a big overflow.
Come on.
It's not TVB. It's different. It's different than the TVB. It's its own. Suffolk had its own thing.
But in Suffolk County, if you refuse,
not anymore.
I know, but I want to understand back then.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like a class
That sounds.
action.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Before, if you refuse to take...
If you had a bad... It depended on the violation, but yes, they would do that. Yeah, they would suspend you till the trial.
But was what
without
you,
finding of a facts,
Yeah,
without
they
with
would just-
but was what you accused of even gonna lead to a suspension?
It would, if like you had like something on your record, it could in theory, but for the most part, not necessarily.
So they would suspend you even if the thing that they were trying to get you to take wouldn't even result in a suspension?
Yeah, but they would suspend you as part. If you were found guilty at trial, then they would also
suspend you as
Yeah.
like a double
Yeah,
punishment.
yeah. So yeah.
They would suspend you even though they could have
I'm
just given
hiring
points.
you, by
Yeah.
the way, if I ever get a traffic ticket. There's
Facts.
no way I'm
Yeah.
even like.
Well,
and
I mean-
can we not edit this in because I get those cases? I don't know why. I don't know why.
But now it's better. There was a whole
You're the
election.
person.
They like literally
Well, you
chucked
just
out
learned a lot.
everyone.
Yeah, it's still.
cleared
What I
everyone
learned
out.
was I'm hiring her. That's fucking.
But
what
they
I learned.
cleared everyone out after this most recent election in Suffolk County. So they cleared everyone out, and now they're like, you could have like a horrible record, and they'll give you like a fucking like it's like yes, you now if you want to get a ticket in Suffolk County, oh great, I see a Suffolk County ticket, I'm like. Wonderful. You're fine. Don't worry about it. So,
But New York. So is there like some lurid history of why New York City doesn't even negotiate?
yeah. So actually, I could go into it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Please.
so it's not a lurid history really. So it's actually just kind of a procedural one. So in the 60s, I believe. So it used to be held in a criminal court.
Okay.
Because of the volume, they and like the management of it, they took it out of the criminal courts and put it into the Traffic Violations Bureau, and there was actually a suit about it. And it got up to the Court of Appeals, which is the highest court for anyone who doesn't know that. And
New
they
York.
found in New York, and they found that yes, the auspices of the TVB is constitutional in New York State. So that's been the state of it since about the 70s. So that's how it's been. So it was not always like that, but
Someone needs to take it to the Supreme.
Well, I don't know if they have this in Queens or any of the other boroughs, but in Manhattan criminal court there is a VTL part that's
so yes, so there's like and like there's like desk appearance tickets mostly, like there's or like a like they're like pink tickets, like
Well, yeah, I mean a
Yeah.
lot. So like you would catch. It's driving with suspended license.
Yeah.
Or like revoked license. Those things would be in this court on the first floor with like.
yeah, they still have those.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So,
that's different. Like you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Do you handle those?
yeah, sure.
You
Yeah,
do?
I
Okay.
will. But actually, like, so when I get those, so people, and this is part of me being a social justice warrior.
There you
So
go.
like when I get someone who comes to me with a criminal summons, I tell them, and this is the first preamble I give them. Look, this is a criminal summons. You are entitled to a free attorney. So, the thing is though, if you would like to hire me, this is what I charge. But you're entitled to a free attorney. The thing is, though, if you hire me, you don't have to attend. If you would like to attend, however, you are entitled to a free attorney. So if in those low-level courts, I could get an authorization to appear without.
Yeah.
So for some people, it's worth it. But I always make sure that they understand that they're entitled to an attorney. Just because I can't. Again, I just can't in good conscience, like when I know that they're entitled to free representation, like I can't do it. Like, and I'm letting business walk out the door, and a lot of people appreciate it. So I always make sure someone knows that.
This is a service business first. We like regardless of whether we charge people or don't. It's a
Yeah, I mean,
it is a service
but
business. We service communities. and
Right, but
people.
like in a situation where you're charged with something a misdemeanor or above, like there's income requirements for that. But in like the lower level course, they're not checking that,
Yeah.
right? So anyone is entitled to it. They're not going to ask your income if you're charged with a desk appearance ticket.
No, fuck that.
Go
Yeah.
there, you'll meet the legal aid cashier, and they'll help you. But like you have to go. So if you don't want to go, this is what I charge. You could and you don't have to worry about it. Like I'll take care of it. But
And what's the procedure now? You just send like an email, a letter to the court? Like
no, I just show up and I have an authorization, a notarized authorization to appear without them, and
okay.
but it really is the summons part.
You haven't gotten they don't have a VTL part in Queens.
It's a summons part where most I know they have a VTL part, but like
They don't
I
have a
will appear in
summons part.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a
No, not
that's compared to the DAT
So,
part.
DAT summons.
And they do have a summons part.
This is
This
in Manhattan. It's completely different. They have a VT where the part only deals with VTL charges, and it's in Manhattan criminal court, and it solely does VTL. We have a DAT part. Those DAT cases go to one of the misdemeanor all-purpose parts, part A, B, C, or D.
Years ago, there was like was it based on VTLs? There was almost like a summons part, but it was criminal summonses.
Yeah,
so
but not for nothing. Like when cops write that, what's funny is that it is scarier for someone who gets a criminal court summons, and that's why they call me freaked out. But if I would say generally the cop did them a favor when they write them a criminal court summons versus a TVB summons, because you have so many more rights in criminal court than you do in TVB. And there are no points involved. The judges in criminal court are a lot, especially with the summons parts. Like they're looking a lot more closely. They're offering ACDs, whereas you're not getting that in TVB. You have to win. And so for someone who works and like the people who call me, their license is so important to them because they're working. This is their job.
Yeah.
So like I've had guys say, "Can I just go to jail?" Like they would rather do 5 days in jail than get a fucking cell phone ticket. For real.
Well, the points.
Yeah,
I mean, points fuck people.
Like they would. It is more worth it to them to be out of.
And some points
be in
never
jail
come
for
off
5
your
days,
license.
6, 7 days, and you can't do that. But like, so it is actually funny when the cop gives them a pink summons or a DAT. It's scarier because it's criminal court. It is better for them.
But
So what
actually,
what distinguishes what then? How do you get one or the other?
So there's a bunch of different types of summonses that police officers are able to write. So the B summons is the Traffic Violations Bureau for NYPD. So that's like, it's the yellow summons or like the ABB, or if you get an electronic version, the B24. Like the white or the yellow summons. Those are the B series summonses. And that is returnable to Traffic Violations Bureau. Then there's the pink summonses, which is a criminal court summons. That's like an open container ticket, or or unregistered. Like they can
sleeping on the train.
Yeah,
Never done those.
That bullshit.
I got a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
I'm telling you, the amount of
growing up in New York City, especially during certain years,
they want to
that's
search
just
you.
all
Yeah,
that.
so
you're sleeping on the train.
That's why I hate the cops.
You get the white tickets, like the DATs, like that's like, so you get those. But like when the cops do that, if you are charged with a traffic like if it is a motor vehicle infraction, I am of the opinion, and I really do think that if like what you are really concerned about is your license, and the cop writes you that,
you're better off in criminal
they're
court.
hooking you up. Like
So, actually, now I'm thinking, where if you catch a VTL 509, right, or 511 driving with unlicensed motor vehicle, where does that case? If you get it at arraignments, where does that case go? What part does it track to?
So if I get a 511 at arraignments, where there might be some place that they're going that I don't know about, because I don't get just those on the docket
really
that often. So maybe there is some place that they're going that I'm not aware of. But if I get it, then I just keep it. It's a 511. It goes to regular ass criminal court.
So that's what I was saying. In Manhattan, any VTL charge that's not a DUI. DUIs go to Part E, which is the DUI part. Every other VTL that is arrestable offense. So if you're driving with a suspended license, you have to get arrested, and then your license is taken from there. You have to go to the VTL part, and it's a specific part in Manhattan Criminal Court that only deals with VTL cases.
No, I don't think Queens is as anal as Manhattan. Like, if you get arrested for like a 511,
then it just goes to one of the regular parts.
I mean, it sucks when they get arrested like that.
Yeah,
that
right. I mean, as a public defender, you only deal with people that
no.
get arrested.
But I'm saying like for someone who that happens to, like they got arrested and they're like, "What the fuck? I spent 8 hours in jail. What the fuck?" And they call me. They're quite angry about it. But I'm saying like if what you care about is your license,
it's better to get arrested.
It is probably better.
So
like,
basically,
honestly,
hey officer, do you need some overtime? Could we have an understanding? Hold it down.
It's funny because the funny thing is like some cops arrest people and some cops write tickets. So like a cop, so there's the unlicensed. summons. So there's an unlicensed summons in TVB, and then there's you could arrest someone for that, like for driving without a license.
Oh, they have a choice?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what's funny? Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. So this is actually an example. Now I'm contradicting myself. So an unlicensed summons in TVB is no points. It's a higher fine, but it's a no-point ticket, and you're not arrested, obviously. So those in TVB, if you just get one after a certain number, it starts to have issues. But like a TVB unlicensed is probably, you don't get arrested. And there's no points, so someone who's just given that summons, it's like, whatever, but like, yeah.
Criminal court, you're getting a fucking ACD
Yeah,
on a
right.
509.
Right, so it's
Straight
like,
509, you
Yeah.
get an ACD, guaranteed.
Yeah.
In Manhattan, you get a 509.
Yeah.
You get the violation, because 509 is a violation, 511 is a misdemeanor.
but
Right?
then you're like,
Yeah.
So, but summons officers who write summonses are not going to, they don't want to arrest someone. They just don't. It's not in their purview. It's not, they're not incentivized to arrest people. Like,
There's
so.
no like extra overtime and
No, they don't
processing
want to
and-
do it. It's just more work for
And
them.
we scratched this area before, and then we kind of moved on from it. But we were talking about the different officers.
Yeah.
Right? Can you lay those out a little bit more clearer? Because you said there's officers who like day jobs is just a fucking give
Yeah,
tickets.
so I mean, like, yeah, so.
And does that affect like if let's say it's a patrol officer,
Yeah.
what with his ability to lay down the elements,
So yeah, so it definitely depends. So like there are, if you take a precinct, so okay, so let's take the citywide traffic task force. Okay, they're a precinct in Midtown Manhattan. Their whole job is writing moving violation summonses, right? That's their whole job, and also then like during the holidays they direct traffic, they do parades and that sort of stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What about the checkpoints? Is that them?
I think anyone is able to conduct checkpoints, right? But CTTF, they do the moving violations, they'll do the holiday parade, they'll do that. Then within precincts, there'll be like a unit that just is the summons unit. Like they're in the 17th precinct, but their whole thing is they write summonses. So if you get pulled over, if like a summons person sees you get pulled over by a summons person and you're unlicensed, they're just more likely than not going to write you a ticket for being unlicensed than arresting you for being unlicensed. So it really, yeah.
It pisses me off that they actually have the option to not put people in custody, but yet in my time in Manhattan, there have been so many people that come in, whether DATs, and let's not get it twisted. A DAT, you are arrested, you are put in custody for 4 hours, 1 hour, 2 hour, where the idea that they could have just written a summons is just, why?
And I'm guessing because they're not summons people. They're
they have
overtime
they
people.
have the power, right? So like, it's when we say they're not summons people, it's not like they don't have the ability.
I've had an experience.
They're
actually,
just evil.
So
they're
I've
just
had
bad people.
I've had this experience actually. So in court, so in traffic court, TVB. So officer will pull someone over, and he is unable to produce a license. He looks him up, and maybe he's licensed, maybe he's not, but he doesn't have a photo ID. And he writes the guy's summons based on his name. Doesn't write on the summons his ID number or anything like that. Issues him a summons returnable to DVB, doesn't arrest him. And now I'm in court and I see the summons. And I'm like, the ID's not there. Interesting. So I make a motion. There's defective notice. He also didn't properly identify the motorist. And the officer will say, he was unlicensed. What should I have arrested him? And it's like, I guess so, because this is getting dismissed right now. Like,
Wait, no, don't tell him that. Be like, no, there is nothing you can do.
so what? I should arrest him next time? Like, it's like, so he was unlicensed. You didn't write the license number down. This was someone who didn't have a license. You wrote him for TVB, but you wrote him for a violation for violating the license, but he didn't have a license. So in this court, venue, you haven't met your burden.
And he gets penalized for that.
He doesn't get penalized. Well, he
Well,
loses.
I thought you said as the like.
Yeah.
So there is a penalized effect
yeah.
for. So then there is an incentive to just arrest people.
Yeah, in a way. But the thing is, he's a summons guy.
America.
So yeah. Well.
Well, no. How would he correctly write that ticket then? If he's gonna give a ticket,
He would arrest someone.
He would have to. So that's what I'm
You
saying. It
arrest him,
forces.
yeah.
This is like it forces arrests.
Yeah. But the thing is, a summons, someone who is writing summonses probably doesn't want to arrest someone. But in that case, he probably should arrest someone. Like, he just improperly charged him. That's it. Like, this is the wrong venue for the violation.
They also have the right to give a warning, don't they?
Yes, they have.
So maybe that's what he should have done, is give him a warning.
Yes, there's that too. Yes, there's always
how
that.
does
They have discretion.
Discretion. Police officers
Yeah.
have discretion
Yeah.
on whether to issue a ticket or make an arrest or not.
Yes, they
see
do.
if I become mayor of New York City? Well,
When?
If ever were
When?
What I would say, what I would say is we need to expand that definition, because I feel like so many like this like
I would defund the police.
so this is a good segue to Adventures of Gene and Ev. Another. Because I get Gene gets a lot of fucking parking tickets. And what I've always, obviously parking tickets.
I got one today.
Like, parking tickets are
Ulster.
meant to just make the city money.
Yeah.
But I've always, my impression was they're meant to maintain the flow of traffic, right? Like in terms of like a business, like that's why like there aren't meter maids like up this block, right? Because this is connected to residential areas. So like the motivation is they're typically meter maids are typically along like business like coded places, because they want to maintain the flow of traffic. They don't want you to come
Main streets and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's businesses that
Commercial areas.
exactly.
In New York City,
Business districts.
but like this is the thing about New York City. There is no residential and everything is combined.
We could talk about business districts. Oh, yeah. So, okay. So we're going to take it back to the VTL. So, U-turns. What do you guys know about flipping a bitch in New York City?
First time I heard that term when I was in California. I've never heard have you heard that term before?
Flipping a bitch. I feel like it made me laugh. So there's some. I knew about it enough. I knew what you were saying.
It wasn't a term of art I was familiar with until recently.
So,
But yeah.
this is another summons I really like fighting.
Okay.
So, U-turns. So, you are not allowed to make U-turns in New York City if it's a business district. So, a business district is any part of a roadway where there's 300 feet of continuous commercial establishments on either side of the street. So,
how long
But
is
what about
300 feet?
Well,
this is New York City, so
right.
like there's
So,
commercial
but
and then
this
residential.
This is why I like fighting these tickets.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Because it's, well, what is the word? Because the statute says continuous. So what does continuous mean? So is it a Best Buy? Is that continuous? Or is it like a bodega and an apartment building and a bodega and an apartment building?
Which is New York City.
Right. So that's the whole thing. So, when police officers observe a U-turn, right, they automatically assume the U-turn is illegal. So they could write it under a couple of different statutes, but the most common one is U-turn in a business district. And that's where I have the most fun fighting, is what is a business district. Because technically, like most of New York City is a business district.
What if you live in that business district that you
Right,
put
exactly.
a U-turn
But
in?
it's residential, so like it's okay. So it's a shopping, like it's like what is 300 feet and what is continuous. So I like getting into arguments with judges about like what continuous
What
is.
is
So
300 feet?
yeah.
Like, how do you
300 feet's not that much,
No,
right?
it's
not
not that much.
No, it's not at all. But like,
Is it half a football field?
but is that okay?
No.
So, but is that a storefront? It's not. It's like, is that a storefront? But like up top, it's all apartment buildings. So like, you can really get into it when you get one of those
That's
tickets.
what
like,
that's
yeah.
what,
So like,
you know.
that's.
So like,
that's
yeah, like to me, so for example, like if I was mayor, this like the way I would argue this is like, if you have a commercial area, if there's nothing but parking, right? It's basically it's a dead zone. Like there's no one actually using up the parking. Why the fuck are you giving a ticket? Like, who the fuck are you trying to protect? You know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like if it's crowded and people need the spaces and you're there and you didn't pay your meter, then the logic maintains, right? You're trying to clear people out. You're not paying the meter. The whole point is there's not enough spaces, so at least they should make money off of maintaining the
whole point is making money.
Yeah, that's
yes.
It's not about anything other than
we need to
bringing in
codify
revenue.
being an honest person.
You should.
Scumbag.
I mean, like this kind of goes into like civil forfeiture, right?
Oh,
And like,
sure.
and
So fucked up.
I've done a couple
We're
of those.
going there.
I've done a couple of those hearings in front of administrative judges as well, right? Like law is a business. It is a business with an industry that's around it, whether it's from traffic court to fucking Supreme Court, whether it's civil or not. This is a business.
It gets enforced all the time, right? Because you like in the Bronx.
I may not get a ticket tonight, right now.
Yeah, but like let's say, for example, in the Bronx late at night.
I would just like to be clear. I don't fight parking tickets. I want to make that clear.
That's why this is
Can you find a parking ticket?
I don't know. I've never tried.
Yeah, no, you just get enough of them until they come knocking on your door, and then you get into a nice payment plan at the Department of Finance, which has gotten a lot better recently. It's gotten way better.
Not from personal experience.
Dude, personal experience of G. Yeah, parking tickets suck, but I think they should be like there should be some kind of like honor system that they should be or like a warning system that they should like fucking impose something, because what they got now fucking sucks.
Yeah, the boot is not fun.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You gotta like always just play the game so that you are 1 or 2 tickets below the boot.
Yeah, no, you gotta get.
What is that game? What number? How many
I
tickets?
don't know. I don't fight parking.
Well, the
boot sucks.
So back to Gene's storied history of parking tickets.
Allegedly.
Is that eventually they send you notices and you can just say fuck them, and then eventually the DMV. There is a disconnect between the people giving you the ticket and the DMV saying it's time to answer these tickets, because they will send you a notice saying, hey, you have a month or we gonna suspend your shit. Go to the Department of Finance and figure this shit out. And then when you get there, they put you in a payment plan. And it used to be fucking horrid because their website sucked. The Department of Finance sucks. So what happens is, let's say you get a payment plan, it's 20% down, right, of whatever your tickets are. And then if you cannot plead financial hardship, it's a 24-month cycle. So you have to pay it within 24 months. So your payments will be $500, $400, whatever it would take to clear them out.
How many alleged parking tickets?
Does
$500
Gene have?
a month.
Actually, I'm kind of curious. I mean, like, I get it. Like, so I have building parking. So,
I'm on my wait list to my building.
So parking tickets
playing that
and
game right now.
Red lights are dealt in the same bucket, right?
Yeah, if it's a camera summons, it's all parking. So
Yeah.
if you get a camera ticket, it is all parking because you don't have the right to confront your accuser.
What about camera speeding tickets?
All same thing.
So there are no points for a camera speeding ticket?
No point for speeding tickets. If it's a camera issued summons, speeding, school buses, any of that.
So that should be the only enforcement. Like, what are we doing?
So
right?
unfortunately,
trying to put me in a business?
No. The card that Gene was attached to was getting a lot of red light tickets. I mean, no, not speeding tickets. Allegedly getting the
corporation.
The car.
Who knows what was
The
driving
corporation of Gene was getting
a lot of them.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe 4,000 the first year.
Girl.
Yeah, a lot. And so, so that payment plan could be shitty. It can be shitty. But now, and you have to apply. So Gene went to the Department of Finance several times, trying to get a hardship plan, which is way better because it's 48 months, only 5% down, and they wouldn't give it to you. But now they updated their website, and you can just apply for it on the website. It's what was it? You own a business that took a loss. That's how I got. That's how Gene got his.
You're a public defender.
No, it took a loss. You lost your job. And there was 2 other things that qualified. Lost your job and own a business that took a loss. But yeah, apply for that financial hardship.
Okay, that's just parking tickets. I would like to make it clear that after legislation was passed in 2020, if you have a moving violation summons and you were convicted of it and you have not paid it, the state is no longer allowed to suspend you for not paying your fines. That is as a result of, and I'm forgetting the exact word of the legislation, but it's some big legislation that happened in 2020. I should really actually look it up.
We'll find it.
The points
We'll
on,
like
you get
make it
points on
appear.
your license, but you don't have to then pay. So there is like a punishment, but it's not monetary.
No, so if you are convicted of a violation right now and you are unable to pay it, the state is legally not allowed to suspend your license for failure to pay your fines.
Oh, nice.
Can they take you to civil judgment like in criminal
Yes,
court?
they could sip this. They could eventually like send it to judgment, but
Right, okay.
they will
Parking
not. They are
suspension.
not allowed to suspend you if the only reason that you have not paid it. If you haven't answered the summons, they can suspend you for that, but they are not allowed to suspend you for not paying an already adjudicated guilty summons.
Good.
So just want to make that clear.
And just because we're on what New York City residents really hate, which is fucking parking tickets
fucking worst.
and moving tickets, we were discussing Easy Pass a little bit.
Oh boy, okay.
You know about the Easy Pass trauma?
Wait, like no.
Okay.
Maybe like the people that are not paying their Easy Pass shit.
No, so
Well,
it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
So I don't give, because also one of the adventures of Gene and it's mostly just Gene doing these adventures, but the title is cooler. Fucking Easy Pass. If you don't pay your Easy Pass or don't pay like the toll, right, and then a month pass, they give you $100 fine.
No, if you miss it, they will. Yeah.
Well,
It's a $100 fine every time you intentionally not pay your Easy
if
Pass.
you don't have Easy Pass and they just mail it to you, it's
And
If you don't pay it on time, they'll give you a $100 fine.
okay.
So you don't realize a fucking $5 toll
Could be a $105 toll.
$105. And what happens, right? And we were discussing this earlier. So there's a lot of ways they can rung up, but the way that Gene knows personally is that they will. So on your Easy Pass, they have a replenish amount, right? That gets set, that you set.
Right.
Right. So it drops before $15 and it replenishes to say $75.
Right.
So you constantly have $100 in your thing. They will change the replenish amount unilaterally. And so Gene had it go from, let's say at 15 it's supposed to add 75. They wanted to add $500.
Whoa.
Based on the pattern
Of you're
your tolls.
using the thing?
Yeah. So you're using
And that takes money out of your account and puts it into this Easy Pass.
Exactly.
So they're saying you have to use this money with us. Well, no, because can you then take the money out of
No,
the
of course
user?
not, yeah.
Right. So
there's two ways it can fuck you, right? Because
Sounds like a class action to me, right?
there's
a lot of ways that there's
it can fuck you because
they're charging you for things you haven't done yet.
It could take your rent money out of your fucking account out of nowhere, right? Because let's say $5 because they're changing the auto pay
Based off of an algorithm?
Yes. Or what's worse in terms of racking up these fines is that let's say you don't have the $500. They changed the $500. You don't have the $500.
Then they charge you a fine?
No, so they won't replenish your Easy Pass.
At all.
At all. And then you're thinking there in the background that you have an autopilot on or auto replenish. It's not replenishing, and then you're racking up.
Can you then reset it?
You have to call it. You can't do it online.
You can't do it online. You can't do it online. So you would have to. So do you get noticed to the? Yeah, write it up.
Well, I don't know if class
that
action.
shit.
This goes back to what we were talking about. So
We need a civil.
what can you do at that point once you start racking up 10,000, 20,000?
So here's okay. So the first time you get the notice, you get a notice of these violations. It will usually be multiple violations because they never send you a notice after just one, right? So the thing you want to do is you have to call every tolling agency, and yeah, but there are numbers. I don't have them offhand. Maybe you could put them on. So you call every tolling agency. If you get the notice relatively early, you call them and you just explain that there was some kind of error going on with your Easy Pass. They'll fix whatever error it is, and generally they'll wipe the $100 violations, however many there are, if you get it within 30 days. After that, then it's the 80% negotiation. After that...
80% negotiation is
So
what?
it's 80%. So say they charge you $1,000, they'll charge you $200.
Okay, so they'll charge you 20% of whatever.
Right, of whatever your outstanding balance is according to
They'll
them.
clear 80% of it.
Yeah. So after that, then you're
That's how you
dealing.
know
Sounds
that
like a
fucking
racket.
scam.
Yeah,
it's a
It's
fucking
a
racket.
giant
racket.
I know it's a huge racket. So, but that's once you're dealing just directly with the tolling agencies. If you if you either don't know about it, and I think what happens is a lot of people don't know about it because they're not very good about sending the notices.
Yeah.
Which is why I think there is a class action involved. There has to be something where we could sue the shit out of the state for this bullshit. But like people are unknowingly racking up $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in tolls, and they have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
They're shocked about it. They get notice of suspension of their registration in the mail, and they can't even fathom this number.
40,000, 80%, $4,000.
No, it's not 80%. At that point, then they're talking about now you're dealing with collections agencies and now you're fighting with them. So that's where it gets even. So one part might be 40%. Yeah, one part might be 40%. Another part you don't even know about because it's not in the notice. Could be another couple $1,000s. So you're dealing with all of these different agencies, tolling agencies, collections agencies, and you call them and you think you're talking to the tolling agency when you're at one point and you're actually talking to some fucking collections agency that are representing themselves as one of the tolling agencies. It's a hot mess. So
Gene knows.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So y'all are okay. So it's an absolute disaster. The tolls. What's going on now? So if you get a notice in the mail, check it really early, as soon as you get it, and call the numbers that they offer you on the notice as soon as you get it. Hopefully before it's a suspension registration notice. If you have a suspension registration notice, then you have to you're entitled to a hearing after that, and you can get an attorney for that, but like before you get to that point, just try calling them and see what you can do negotiating them with them at that point.
I should never started driving again.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, it's scary out there.
Yeah.
It's fucking scary.
It's a mess.
It's fucking scary. All right, but
I mean, it's like the government loan sharking. They're gonna break your legs.
It's not a
if
government because the Easy Pass is a private company. That's
Third party.
yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
wait. I thought the whole reason why we have tolls is tolls were issued by the state,
Well,
but then
the Easy Pass is a third party operator.
that contracts with the
Yeah.
state. And so, how much percentage of tolls does the state get?
I'm not
We
certain
don't-
of it.
So,
I
like
don't know.
the upping of.
Get out your house,
Shenanigans! Shenanigans! I'm calling shenanigans.
yeah, I feel shenanigans.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
The $100 fine is fucking.
And when you go to
insane.
How's
other
a private
states-
entity gonna fine you?
Well, they do. They have your license plate.
What? This is crazy.
Yeah,
We need Gene
I'm pretty
from
sure I
there.
helped build that bridge. Right? Didn't we collectively build that bridge together? Why are you hoarding it?
Oh shit!
All
Damn.
right, back to traffic court. I guess so. What are some things that someone who has gotten a ticket can do to help themselves? Should they take pictures of the scene? Like, what can they do to help you up front?
Okay. So first thing you can do to help yourself ultimately is during the traffic stop, as tempting as it may be to mouth off to the
Curse
police
out the
officer,
cops.
don't do that.
Fuck my instincts.
You should be as polite as you possibly can fathom when you're dealing with the police officer when they're writing you a ticket. Whether they write you the ticket or not, just be as polite as you can. And it's only for this reason. Especially in New York City, the officers write a lot of tickets. And the smartest thing you could do is have them not remember you. And the fastest way for them to remember you is if you were an asshole.
Yeah.
In their mind, whether you were justified or not. So don't argue with them. Thank you, officer. Don't admit anything. Just thank you, officer. I thank you, and that's it. And just stop. Make it as unmemorable of an interaction as you could possibly make it.
Okay.
So that's the first and easiest thing you could do. After that, if there are obstructions or if there's an emergency or something like that, document everything immediately. Don't wait till the next day. As soon as you are at the scene, take a picture of absolutely everything.
And when you say emergencies or obstructions, what do you mean?
So if there's so for instance, if you were making an improper turn, for instance, and you turned from the lane over, turn around and take a picture of the obstruction right there. Don't go back the next day and take a picture of, for instance, a traffic.
I mean, after you get the ticket.
Like after you get the ticket, like literally it should be like a beat after you get the ticket.
Yeah.
Because don't go back the next day. Like let's say there's construction in the roadway. Don't go the next day and take a picture of it. The judges want to see at the time you turned there was construction. Not that there was anything the next day. Because like we talked about, New York City changes constantly. So take it immediately. Any evidence you're going to take, it has to be from the time of the stop. That includes dash cam. That includes if you're having an emergency situation. Anything at the time of the stop. Not even like 40 minutes after, at the time. So that would be the biggest
What
thing.
about witness testimony? Let's say you have a passenger in your car when this happens, and then at the hearing, you offer your testimony, and then you have the third party person who didn't get ticketed but was there and observed it. Is that something that is? How does the court, I guess?
So it's really going to depend on the relationship of the witness to the motorist, right? Because it's so informal, how they do it in TVB, you have a witness with you, you bring them with you, and the judge basically says, this is your witness, okay, have them wait outside, right? And so the testimony happens, your argument happens, do you want to bring your witness in? Okay, they come in. So you have to get into the judge's head. You don't want to be in a situation where like the judge believes you had pre-planned it with your witness. So is your wife who was riding in the car with you the best witness? Even if she's being 100% honest about what she observed, you have to think about what the judge is thinking. The judge is thinking you have a reason to lie about it, right? Like your wife has a reason to lie about it. So like, is that going to be super persuasive? But for instance, if you were a taxi driver and you had a passenger in your car,
that's big.
That is
because who's going to come
massive.
in to
No one, and obviously it is very rare that someone is expecting an unknown passenger to take a time off their job to come and testify in court. But if you could get a witness statement from the passenger who is unrelated to you.
There's no rules of evidence. They don't have to be in person, but you can go and get a notarized statement from
a
this
notarized
person
statement, and they can read it, and they could.
Oh, that's awesome.
The judge could take it for what it is. The most persuasive ever is an unrelated passenger.
Right. So it has to be notarized?
It doesn't have to be, again, because there's no rules of evidence, but unnotarized is less persuasive than notarized, and most persuasive is this passenger felt so strongly that they came to traffic court to defend you. Yeah. So that's how they're thinking about it.
1%.
Yeah. So that is a rare occurrence, but when I have seen that happen, the judges dismiss the tickets.
It's interesting how like there is this. I mean, I don't know if this in criminal court there is for some reason like more weight given to a police officer's testimony than a regular. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But what you're telling me is, but if it's a complete stranger, then that weight outweighs the police officer's testimony.
Yeah, because you have to factor in like the time. Like so, you have to think about like the TVB judge sees the same people, sees the same cops for the most part, because there's, as I said, there's summons writing officers, highway officers. These are people who are there all the time, right? So they see the same people over and over and over again. And they see the same lawyers over and over and over again. They don't see the same motorists, but they hear the same story. They come in, someone's wife was the passenger. Someone's kid is the passenger. So it's very unusual if someone's unrelated passenger will take the time out of their day to come in and say, this is what happened, right? So like, even if this officer had, and you're 100% correct, officers have by default a certain level of credibility, especially in traffic court, because why would he lie about this, right? Why right?
We talk about this?
Right, of course, but the motorist has a reason to lie about running a stop sign, right? Like that, and we're all standing on a corner and we see people run stop signs 10 times a day. That's what they're thinking. But someone who is in the back of an Uber and felt so indignant about what happened that they're going to come to court, I have really never seen that be a situation where that has not overcome it. Yeah. a motorist, like a notarized statement, is less persuasive because anyone can stamp it, right? But like, so that's better. But that is the best evidence.
Could you introduce like a recorded statement, as a taxi driver record my.
You know, it's funny. I have not seen that ever.
Like after the fact, like you just be like, hey, can you just say what just happened and what you saw?
I haven't seen that ever,
awesome.
And I might recommend that to
why not?
Fucking that
taxi
sounds
driver.
that
I have
sounds
not
fucking
seen
awesome.
that. Like, can you record this? Now they could take it for what it is, right? Because it's I mean, if it's timestamped, sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you do it like what just happened, what's the date?
Yeah.
Like there's like, you know, maybe YouTube videos or I mean there's
you know it's funny because I have not seen that.
You're brilliant.
Yeah.
You really are.
Gotta be creative, baby.
So now I'm gonna like start actually recommending
Tell me swag gonna come out of nowhere.
It's good. You think that would be convincing though to
I think that could, depending on the judge, it could be. Like, it's when I will tell you there was one judge. He's retired since. He was a huge, awful asshole. I wouldn't even make eye contact with this piece of shit. I hated him so much.
Yes, wasn't it?
I fucking hated this guy. And when I saw a well-dressed, obviously very unrelated passenger come in and say the light was green, and he dismissed it, that was it for me. I was just like, oh, this is the best. It's very, very hard to do that, especially because the hearings happen so far and everyone's scared. But they happen
6 to a year later.
2-3 years. Like, it's
3
a very,
years?
very big. Oh yeah, I have cases that go on for 5 years.
Whoa.
Especially after COVID. Yeah. So
there might be a benefit for making my wife sit in the back.
they're not going to believe the wife. We already said they're not going to believe the wife.
Charge
you know
her.
what I mean?
But
If you rode together.
I charged her for
they
the
don't ask
ride.
her who she is, does she have to tell them?
You have to think about it. Like, if they had a reason to think you rode together, they're not going to believe you. You know, like, you have to think about it from there. So the other most persuasive defense is if there's an emergency. So like a real emergency, like, so
I gotta take a shit.
No, but you know what? Depends on the judge, because I have gotten really graphically descriptive about the situation, and the judge actually like sat back in his chair.
He relived that moment in his head.
He went like this. He went like this. The visual, like, and he dismissed it.
He had chills. He said,
because I got graphic about it. So. A complete defense to any moving violation summons, anything,
emergency.
It was an emergency.
And what is there a quality? So that's
what is that in the law? Is that that's practice?
It's statutorily an emergency.
What is emergency statutorily?
But what is an emergency is kind of up for debate, right?
Okay.
Word.
Like,
great.
So,
what's the lowest emergency?
So it's really going to depend, right? So how. Every judge is going to, if you are calling an ambulance, that's an emergency.
Yeah, okay.
So there are situations where an officer, a summons officer in particular, is not listening to your shit, throws you the summons, and you're having a stroke. I've had that happen. I have literally had that happen. I swear to God, the guy has a hole in his head as a result of like whatever the hell was happening at the scene. And so I had to present all that evidence. This is an emergency, right? But other judges, it depends on what the violation is, right? Like, so a cell phone ticket. Some judges think an emergency is like, I am calling a hospital. Other judges think it's my daughter's giving birth, like, or my wife's giving birth and this is an emergency. So it like really depends, but like you have to have documents of that.
What if my wife has caught me in the mix? Is that emergency enough?
Are you driving away from her?
I don't know. I'm trying to save my marriage.
Sir.
I was trying to save my marriage.
Sir.
This is not a call I can hang up on.
Sir.
This may be the last call of my relationship.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Sir, I got the side dish on the line, and I'll let you know. No, but like, so it really, it's like it gets flexible, and that's what I'm saying. Like, where we talking about
it. This is codified. It's like emergency.
Emergency is a complete defense to any of these.
Wow.
But it's not like there isn't an enumerated list of.
It's just
scenario
in the event of an
facts.
emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
wow.
it's interesting.
So
Creative lawyering.
Right. So like that's where the art comes in.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Shit.
so, because some judges, like, my mom is in hospice and I have to go. Like, so you could play to that, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, my daughter is sick, but you need documents of it, right? Like, so I had one instance recently, and it was a third speed, and it was and the third speed, again, you get your license revoked. And he had evidence that he was driving someone, his daughter, who was apparently having appendicitis. So I was able to get the documents from the hospital, like the ambulatory, whatever. So I had that, and that was convincing enough.
Wow.
But like in front of the wrong judge, it wouldn't have been, right? Like to some judges, it's like you have to have been calling a hospital, like, and then ambulance, like they have to. The NYPD has to have said, "Do you need EMS?" And you have to have said yes. So it really depends. Like that's like the flexibility of the game, like the art, as you will.
Yes.
So most judges are not that strict. If you could come up with a presentable reason, so emergency. That's the biggest justification all around. Also,
And that's the best thing you can do during the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
To maintain your
an
defense.
emergency for anything. I had to turn against the sign because my wife's giving birth in the back, like that kind of thing. After that, it's really going to depend on the violation, what the best defense is. Like an improper turn, lanes obstructed. I need video evidence or picture evidence that at that time that lane was obstructed. Otherwise, I'm going to have to just rely on the fact that the officer doesn't remember this, and that's where we get into the refresh recollection, why we don't want documentary evidence. It's just like, well, maybe it was obstructed. Let's like create the like the aura that there's the possibility that it was obstructed.
Reasonable doubt.
Yeah, well, beyond the clear and convincing evidence.
Yeah, no,
Let's-
but just
yeah, like let's create doubt.
the
Like,
holes, right? the
yeah,
doubt.
so like, and some judges are great where they're like, if I am going either way, I should give to the motorist. Like, and there are judges like that. So that's, and there are other judges where it's just like, yeah, you hit the checklist, fuck them. Like, so,
Damn. I won't lie, you used to make this sound so much fun.
it is fun. That's why I like the job. Like, that's why I like it. It's a game.
litigation is fun.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't think of it as litigation because there's no discovery.
Oh,
There's
it's
none
all
of it.
litigation.
Yeah.
It's all. I mean, what you're telling. I mean, like, I hate the writing elements of my job. I love.
Yeah, I hate
I
it
love.
too.
I
Yeah.
love arraignments. I love every court appearance. I love making arguments. I love requesting.
Yeah,
hearings.
that's like the whole game.
I like the fast.
Everything about it. I mean, that's-
hate everything else.
That's,
about
and I
it.
don't want to
Yeah.
tell everyone how to do my job because but it's pretty great. Like I really enjoy like if you want to get into like really like distilled kind of lawyering, it's like a good.
No, it's real. This is some of the purest sense of litigation. It's just
Funny,
a
in a
different
way.
it's
Yeah.
just a different dance than
Yeah.
than
It's
the
a
criminal
dance.
dance.
Yeah.
But it's still like if you tomorrow said fuck this and I'm going to join legal aid and be a public defender, you would be an incredible public defender because of the ability,
navigating, yeah.
just the ability to work on your feet and think reactively. I mean,
yeah.
that's what some of the most important parts of our job are. Arraignments, getting somebody out. You know, like that is all on your feet when you have very little time to look at the documents, to talk to the client, and then react to you. You have no idea what the DA is going to say. I mean, it's straight up litigation. It's most people can't do it, and most people that can do it aren't good at it.
I will. Yeah. No. I mean it's funny to call it litigation. I hadn't ever considered it really litigation. It's just like it's its own thing. But I guess it is. I've always called it just like thinking on your feet, like contemporary. Like you have to be really good at thinking on your feet. Like that's and like you get
That's
just so
straight-
used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's straight litigation.
It's a dance of the dragons, if you will, to get into it.
I love dancing.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
So I mean that's why I like it though. I like that part of it, and I like that it is relatively low stakes because I am not dealing with someone going to jail. It's their job, and I feel a heavy weight about that, like a very, very heavy weight about that. But they're not going to be locked up, so I feel
like
less
the
awful
stakes.
about it.
I like the high stakes.
Does a like someone like 2 points left? If they get this thing, it's gonna be 3 points. License suspended. Do you charge more for that, or is it all
No.
the same? It's all the same.
No. In New York City, my flat rate is $199. Like whether it's one violation or 6, because my whole logic is like, I'm there either way, so I'm going to fight it the same either way. So,
You charge $200 per client?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's volume. Yeah,
Word.
yeah. It's funny because I'm just like, because I'll get calls about DWEs, like third, fourth DWEs.
Oh,
Those
Right.
those are real.
And I'm like,
Those are
real.
real. You're
Sir.
going to prison.
so I get those calls,
Probation.
and I'm like,
It depends on where you are, man.
County, yeah. you
Fuck
go
Suffolk. Ulster, Westchester. They're not, because most people
no,
drive there.
I think like if there's a situation where you're guilty until proven innocent, it's a DWE. So like
Facts.
I am like, sir, I will be honest. I do not have the skills or the capability to handle this. I will refer you out to someone who is a first DWE. I could do because that's negotiating for the most part.
Yeah.
After that, it's just like, sir, I cannot do it. I actually like.
Well,
Yeah,
but doesn't the 1192 subsection 1, the infraction, doesn't that like permanently stuck on your DME rap sheet, and the points can never be taken away?
Well, it's not points though. It's like a.
You don't get points from that?
No, it's not a points. It's just like a. It's on your record forever, and they can use that if you're convicted of other moving violations to suspend or revoke.
Right. So,
but it's not points.
okay, so it's okay, but
But it's on your record.
and it also can be used to if you have one DV, right, DWE, I don't know why I keep saying that.
That's
One,
a
and then
driving
you
while
have like
impaired, yeah.
right, and then you have like 4 speeding tickets.
Yes,
then
they can revoke
they're
your
going to
license.
revoke your
Yeah,
license
yeah,
from that.
and for like ever.
Okay.
Yeah, like
yeah,
so,
forever. Yeah,
well,
no,
yeah,
yeah.
no. If you have an alcohol or drug related conviction and you get too many alcohol or drug, if you get too many moving
Speeding and
violations,
more
they
yeah.
can revoke your
Revoke you forever.
like a
Yeah.
lifetime.
I have a couple of clients
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to. Yeah.
And then,
So
like,
it's not a pointed violation where,
Okay.
but it's
can you
still
appeal that?
No, you can't. I mean, so like you can Article 78 things like
that's
that.
fine. We
but
can talk
like,
about Article 78.
But you can't. But like no, those are pretty much on your record.
Yeah.
Your DMV abstract forever.
and like it's
Can you go to another state and get a license?
No, the DMVs
No, 'cause
work
they have,
interlockingly, so
they
they
have,
share
reciprocity.
Yeah, God, there you go.
Reciprocity.
Can you get an international driver's license?
Not with Canada. Hey, you have reciprocity. We also like New York
With
has
Canada?
reciprocity with Canada
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Share
yeah.
border. Share border.
So like, don't drink and drive, folks.
Or don't
not
get caught.
Don't
in
get caught. Don't get caught. Yeah.
Come on.
And don't admit to drinking.
Don't
admit
it.
to anything.
The other part is, I don't think we expressly stated that.
Refuse
in
the
other
test.
episodes.
Yeah, what? Is it?
I know. It's a question mark. It's a question mark. Don't listen to me.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel like we covered so much. It's crazy.
It's actually, this is the most anxiety I felt after an episode. Out of all the ones we've done,
That's
I'm
funny.
actually scared.
About what?
Everything about fucking Easy Pass, about the
Oh, no, yeah.
about the literally I just started driving last week again because of my job. Like
Because you.
I moved back into the city. And then I gave up
driving
my car
in
and
the city is a scam, and they basically like it's like same shit with fucking congested pricing. It's like basically you want the poor people to ride bikes, you want the rich people to drive cars, because you made this shit so fucking hard to own a car in New York City. And I'm a public defender, but I'm 10 years in. I get paid relatively well, enough that I shouldn't be having a car fucking kill me. This car is drowning me.
There's a big
You could get paid
anti-car
more.
sentiment.
I could get paid more. And that's
could.
why you subscribing to attorney.
keep me in the public defender seat.
That's how I give up. Like, subscribe, share. You want to help this public defender out? You fucking tell your friends about attorneys and swag.
Traffic Court Pro.
Yeah. So yes, even though that is my segue, but there's one thing I say when I really ended. So we're not there yet. Before we leave, let's tell the audience.
David Hourlick, you can be up 917-572-8599. Criminal defense. My firm does other shit, but I do criminal defense. Family law? I don't know. Divorce?
All right, maybe like him a little bit. Give him the website. Help him out a little bit.
Albert Sklavos is the firm. Is one of the top divorce firms in Long Island. Incredible work there. If you get DWIs or any type of criminal offenses, we also handle those. We have a dedicated criminal defense division with very experienced attorneys attached to it.
Including him.
I'm one of those.
Okay. And I'm Kim Juszczak. I am Traffic Court Pro, and I do moving violations in the whole state of New York. 718-541-7699. And if you haven't noticed, I give a shit, and your ticket's not bullshit to me. And I will go to all sorts of lengths to make sure that I can get the best results I can. Moving violations only. I don't do parking tickets. I just want to make that clear.
You got a parking ticket, you are fucked.
Yeah, you're
pay
fast.
718-541-7699, trafficcourtpro.com. Or at Traffic Court Pro or at traffic.court.pro.com if you are looking on TikTok. Let's go.
Woo!
Word.
Yeah.
And I'm Eugene
Business
Tucson.
plug.
Catch me if you can. We out.
Or don't.
See it coming like a prophecy, cause the work got us moving with velocity. We beastin' now, it's some monstrosity. We the plug to the source, unshockingly. Wow, what's he really gonna do now? Jolts in your system, better stay on the ground. Volts in the circus as I spark to the sound. The energy that entered me are jewels in my crown. Wow, that's how it's always gonna be. You'll never really get it like NRG. Could do without the static and the flattery. Chill for I catch a charge like battery.
No style, what? Turn your energy up. No work, what? Turn your energy up. Too wild, turn your energy up. Turn your energy up. Energy up. No style, what? Turn your energy up. No work, what? Turn your energy up. Too wild, turn your energy up. Turn your energy up. Energy up. No style, what? Turn your energy up. No work, what? Turn your energy up. Too wild, turn your energy up. Turn your energy up. Energy up. No style, what? Turn your energy up. No work, what? Turn your energy up. Too wild, turn your energy up. Turn your energy up. Energy up. No weakness, just energy. Just energy. Just energy. No weakness, just energy. Energy. Just energy. No weakness, just energy. Just energy. Just energy. No weakness, just energy. Energy, just energy. No weakness, just energy. Just energy, just energy. No weakness, just energy. Energy, just energy.